Hello and welcome to our virtual judges orientation for the 2020 Learning Through Languages High School Research Symposium. My name is Emma Harber and I'm the Director of Outreach for the Duke UNC Consortium for Middle East Studies. And on behalf of all of the area study centers involved in the symposium, we really thank you for judging this year and this new virtual format. So we're going to dive right in with what to expect from judging. We would normally do this orientation in person, but we're glad to be able to share this video with you so that you have the tools you need as you begin to judge your students' papers. First off, I just want to reiterate a note of thanks. 2020 has been an exceptional year, and we're so glad that we were still able to put on this symposium virtually for high school students across North Carolina. And we really thank you for your time and being willing to take on this extra work of supporting high school students in their world language study. A lot of students, the students who participate in this program often feel so inspired by getting to interact with judges at the collegiate level, and we hope that it inspires them to continue on with their language learning. So thank you. You're having an amazing impact in supporting the language skills of high school students across the state. So we have a couple of veteran judges joining us and a few new judges as well. So welcome to our new judges. If you are new, I'd like to just share a little bit more about what Learning Through Languages is. It's an annual high school research symposium for world language students across North Carolina. It's an opportunity for them to conduct research in the language that they study and then present that research to judges at the collegiate level and receive feedback, which is really exciting for them. The objectives of the symposium are for students to learn about a topic of significance to a world region, produce informational writing aimed at an academic audience. They're using language in ways that they might not always get to in the high school classroom, and develop digital literacy skills through the creation of a project visual, which is digital this year. In 2020, students are presenting their research in two formats: one, a written briefing, and two, a digital project visual. So for veteran judges, I will be explaining some of the differences in this year's symposium. There is no oral component. While we know that that is such an important part and a really fun part for students and judges to get to interact, because in order to comply with the UNC Office of the Protection of Minors, we're not able to have any student-judge interaction this year or any kind of oral component. So we're really excited that the students can still showcase their research through these two avenues, through a written briefing and showcase their creativity through a project visual. So the written briefing is a little different this year. It is a short summary and report on a topic, on a global topic. In the past, students wrote longer research papers, but because of the challenges of the school year, we wanted to make the length and style of the writing of the paper a little more accessible to any student who wants to submit. So you'll see that the page length and the word counts, the character counts are shorter this year, and that it is an overall a shorter research project. Teams selected one of three topics to research within a world region. In the past, teams have gotten to choose any topic they wish. This year, we asked them to focus on one of three issues that they were most interested in. One is social justice, two is the impact of COVID-19, and three is sustainability and the environment. The teams were assigned one world region to study. That world region doesn't necessarily correspond with the language that they speak. So for instance, a team studying Chinese might be able to study social justice in Europe, for example, or a team studying Spanish might be able to study sustainability and the environment in an African country. Students within that world region didn't necessarily need to cover the whole world region. They could choose a country or a locality, some kind of community or a specific issue within that world region. And we do this because it helps students expand through their language study how they can understand the world and learn about how different issues are perceived around the world and how looking at different issues through the lens of different languages can really open their eyes to different perspectives. In accordance with standard practice of the social sciences, the paper and citations should be in APA style, and in the project guidelines, you will see the specifics of what we're asking regarding each language in terms of format. And student teams this year should use at least 3 sources when conducting their research. Those can either be primary or secondary. We didn't specify this year. However, at least 2 must be in the target language, and that should be indicated in their references page. The second part of the symposium that you will be judging is the team's project visual. So each team creates a kind of visual that helps complement the written aspects of the briefing. It may outline and illustrate key research findings, and strong project visuals contain both imagery, creativity, as well as the target language. So there should not be English on the project visual. And the visual should be judged on both use of language as well as creativity and innovation. This will look a little bit different this year, as these are all digital. The visual may take on one of three forms. The teams might have created a slides presentation, a web page, or a PDF infographic. So we hope that you enjoy judging these digital project visuals that help complement the research that the teams conducted and shared in their written briefing. For judging, you've been provided with the scoring rubric. This is slightly updated from years past. The points are from 0 to 120 eligible points, and the rubric recognizes language ability as well as overall research ability and creativity. So please do keep in mind the proficiency levels for your language according to actual guidelines. Remember that these are high school students in North Carolina, and student teams are awarded a rating of 1 through 5 based on the average of 3 judges' scores. So you are not the only judge scoring this team. Each team will receive feedback from 3 different judges. Again, it's really valuable for them to hear your thoughts on their writing and their research, and their final score will be an average of 3 different scores. Those range from superior to poor. And this is just an image of what the scoring rubric looks like this year. We ask that you save a copy for each team that you're judging and label it accordingly. So you'll see each category, information about what constitutes excellent, what would be very good, maybe they need improvement on something, or poor. And so you can either circle or just enter points earned. We ask that you do not award half scale points. Please keep it on a 0 to 10 scale and whole numbers. The last page of the scoring sheet looks like this. We ask that you note on this page the points earned for each category. So if you had a 8 on category A for written briefing research content, you would write 8 or type 8 points earned in this square here. Importantly, you might see this multiply for weighting. Don't panic, don't worry. Please do not do any math. LTL organizers will do the math for you and find out the final score. All we need judges to do is fill in this points earned column, which will allow us to fill out the rest of the rubric on your behalf and ensure that we're doing accurate counting and math to make sure that teams are getting their accurate score. We do ask that this year you type any feedback you have for the teams. There is a box on the scoring rubric where you can type in feedback for the teams. You can type that in English, you can type it in the target language, whatever you prefer. But this is the only way that we are able to provide teams feedback this year, as you're not engaging in conversation with them one-on-one. And we know that the teams are really going to value and read this feedback, as well as their teachers. So even though we are constrained in some ways to making this written, we're really excited that the teams will have a written record of your feedback and thoughts on their work. A kind reminder of the deadline for completing the review of your team's papers. It is December 8th. And we ask that you please return all completed rubrics, including the written feedback, to your Learning Through Languages contact by that date. It's important because we will be having a virtual awards ceremony the following day, and I'll share a little bit about that in a moment. Everyone is invited to tune in if you like. Just a few tips for judging. You know, it is hard because you're not able to engage with the students one-on-one. We just ask that you give your full attention to scoring, perhaps take some breaks in between scoring multiple papers, especially as each team is going to have produced something very different, just as you would be scoring the work of your own students. We ask that you maintain a positive attitude and remain cognizant of the level of the students. When teachers applied for their teams to participate, they selected on the application whether they considered their teams to be intermediate high school students or advanced high school students in that language. And so we ask that you keep that in mind and try not to compare paper to paper in your language. For example, you might be comparing one French intermediate team and then a French advanced team. And we just ask that, again, you keep in mind those actual scoring guidelines or those actual guidelines about where students should be when they're immediate or advanced proficiency in that language. We ask that you be aware of implicit bias. We have participants and student teams, joining us from across the state of North Carolina. Different schools certainly have different levels of resources. And so if you notice a school from a particular district or city, or if you notice particular names of students participating, we ask that you just be aware of any implicit bias that you might have towards where students are coming from. Finally, two notes. One, to be professional in your written feedback. As I mentioned, that teachers will be reading this as well as students. So just remember that this will be a written record that is shared of your opinion of their work. And then finally, remember that it is 2020 and that this year has brought unprecedented challenges, and that students of all levels, our college students as well as high school students and younger, have been facing really difficult circumstances in their learning journey this year. And so the fact that all of these students were still interested in going above and beyond to participate in an unrequired and optional extracurricular Learning Through Languages Symposium is really amazing. And so we do want to continue to instill in them that love for language learning. And give everyone a little grace, because this has been such a complicated year, and all of this has been conducted virtually, including our conversations with the teachers as they coach their student teams. I should also note that the paper and the project should be the students' own work. Teachers were invited to provide general feedback, help provide resources, help provide direction, but not edit word for word the paper. So we want the students' writing to be their own. Of course, we expect them to make mistakes, and that's great. That's how we learn and that's how we improve, but that teachers really should not have interfered in the paper writing process. As I mentioned, our results for scoring will be announced on YouTube live. So we are doing a virtual public awards ceremony on December 9th at 4:00 p.m. We welcome you to tune in. We'll share the YouTube link with you. And so this is why our deadline of December 8th for the team scores is really important, because we will be making a public announcement. So please do adhere to that deadline. And then we will send your written feedback to the teams in the next couple of days on December 11th. Students will also receive a digital PDF certificate confirming their participation and score. In the past, we've given trophies, but we hope that this digital object will help inspire them and help them feel appreciated and accomplished in their research and work. But finally, I just again want to say thank you so much for participating this year. I hope that this video was helpful to you in understanding how the symposium has moved into a virtual format. And we really appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing your comments, and hope that you enjoy reading about these relevant issues, these contemporary issues written by our student teams. If you have any questions, feel free to visit our website, areastudies.unc.edu/LTL, or feel free to contact the LTL coordinator that's been in touch with you directly. Thank you again, and enjoy your scoring.